The Illini win big on the road again. Don't let me get excited again.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another post-game edition of Locked On Illini, one that should be a lot more pleasant and enjoyable than the last one we had. At least I hope. Illinois today wins 95-74. My name is Sonny Verma. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome to Locked On Illini. Daily content every single day, at least a half hour. That's right, today's Saturday. And you're still getting at least a half hour's worth of content because I do that every single day. And you'll probably get some tomorrow on Super Bowl Sunday. So if you haven't subscribed already and you're an Illinois fan, and come on, even if you're already subscribed, the excitement is palpable. Hit that like button. Let's get it started. For Will Riley, if you're happy with what Will Riley did today, which I'm going to talk about for the next 25 minutes, make sure you slam that like button. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, I'm going to let some people start rolling in here. Okay, it's a postgame, right? So when we lose, I let us be sad. I let us vent. When we win, I let us get a little carried away. And I'm not going to lie. When I saw Kasparis and Will Riley play the game that they played today, I mean, it's the game I've been waiting for all season long. Will has been continuing to get better I want to say for the past 4 weeks. And my everydayers in this chat, you know that. The guys who have been listening to my podcast every single day on the audio side, by the way, I appreciate you guys. You guys know that. Will Riley has been incrementally getting better for at least a month now. His scoring has taken a hit for a while, and shooting, same. But even his shooting and scoring over the last 4 or 5 games is turning around. Kasparis, his final line, 24, 4, and 4 in 37 minutes. Will Riley, 27, 9, and 7 in 31 minutes. By the way, Kasparis playing 37 minutes, Will Riley playing 31. So I'm going to brag about how good at math I am. That's 68 minutes combined between the two. Two of the guys who are the prominent playmakers on this basketball team. One turnover in 68 minutes. Is it a surprise to anybody that Illinois won today? Oh, by the way, Illinois, 9 for 16 from three-point land. 9 for 16 three-pointers is what this team took on average in a half in previous games, most of the season. This is the least amount of three-pointers that this team has taken all season long. And it's the highest percentage that the team has shot all season long. Is that by accident? Is that just a coincidence? No. Brad listened to all of us. Brad listened to everybody. And it wasn't just the fan base clamoring for it. You had national media talking about it. Dave Redzine from the Big Ten Network talking about how ugly this team is just to watch, just launch and miss three-pointers. Robbie Hummel said the same thing. Word was getting out. Brad needed to make adjustments. And Minnesota's a good team to make adjustments against, right? They're not that good. They're not as awful as they looked at the beginning of the year. They've had some pretty decent wins. But they're not at Illinois' level. But that hasn't mattered in the past. Neither was Nebraska. Neither was USC. Neither is Rutgers, if we're being honest. This was a game on the road at the barn. And you know what? The barn is not an easy place to win. And Illinois, at least this season, has struggled at places that aren't easy to win. Not today. Today, really from the onset. I mean, I think Minnesota made their first 3 three-pointers. They're up something like 9-2 or 9-4 at one point. But Illinois just slowly chopped their way back and, eventually took the lead. And really after that, it was Illinois' game to lose. They looked confident. The team just They space the floor well. They let Kasparis do what Kasparis does. And that's just be one of the 10 best players in the country. It was nice to see Kasparis back. It's there's a lot of pressure on that kid. And I said in the preview show, which I released yesterday, that I didn't think that his struggles were going to be long-term. When he was playing at his best earlier in the year, I said, hey, eventually there's a freshman wall coming. And we saw and experienced that freshman wall. But I also said that, hey, he's going to get out of this funk. He's too good of a player. I was worried about whether he was injured or not. Because if he was injured and, that forearm pain or whatever was lingering, that could have been an issue. That could be a problem. But Brad, whether he's being honest or not, insisted there's no injury. That, Kasparis is just basically, he's going to figure it out. And I truly believe if there's no injury, he will figure it out because Kasparis is just really good at basketball. Another guy who's really, really good at basketball, Will Riley. A guy who's gotten a lot of heat from, let's be honest. Say it in the chat. Were you someone who was kind of getting impatient with Will's progress this season? A lot of us were clamoring for, hey, this is, Will's going to have to stay a second season. By the way, shout out to Isbilly from the Discord, the Locked On Illini Discord. He coined one of my favorite phrases I've ever heard, that this game against Minnesota may have been the Will Riley is not coming back game. A little play on words, just because if he plays like this, and he plays like he's played over, the last 4 games? Yeah, this is his only season in Champaign. And that's fine. If you're telling me, he's going to play like this, okay, not like this, right? 27-9, 9-7 was his line today in 31 minutes and a block. Obviously, he's not going to replicate those numbers. But if he continues to be the other guy next to Kasparis, I've been hinting at that all week. I literally, my last episode was talking about, what if Kasparis and Will Riley figure it out together? Guys, we kind of caught a glimpse today. It's hard when you have 2 wings who can score at any level, who can be playmakers at any level. Brad Underwood talked about how Will Riley's essentially the point guard of the second team in practice. Of the second unit, Will Riley, he's a playmaker. He's the one who runs things. And you're kind of catching a glimpse of it. You can see why he's so comfortable. I knew Will could score. I had no doubts that Will Riley could score, not just in this level, but he'll be able to score at the next level. But he's getting better defensively. And he's almost becoming a 6'8", 6'9" point guard. He's not a point guard, but he's someone who you feel comfortable having the ball and setting up the plays. A good secondary guy next to Kasparis. And again, most teams would beg to have just one of those type of players. Illinois might have 2. And if that's the case, here I am. Again, it's post game. I'm allowed. This is where I'm allowed to get excited. I got 24 hours. I like that potential of this team. Tommy Visic. Today, I didn't even think he was going to play. Not only did he play, in 33 minutes, he had 18 points and 11 rebounds, shooting 8 of 9 from the field, including 2 out of 2 from three-point land. When you have 3 guys, by the way, all 3 guys, this is their first year playing college basketball. I mean, this is a very young team, right? But again, that just shows just what the ceiling of this basketball team is. I know a lot of us are tired of talking about ceilings. And it's justified. We're way too far into the season. And again, this is Minnesota. But this is another 20-plus point victory in the conference on the road. And if you don't think Brad kept the starters in with, 3-4 minutes in the game on purpose to keep that a 20-plus point victory, you don't know Brad Underwood. He knows he's got to game the system. He knows that we have more losses than they probably should have at 8 already. And so they're really going to have to play that analytics card. And games like today and the final result of today is what keeps Illinois so high in the net, so high with Ken Palm, Torvik, all of those numbers. It's because of games like today. All right, right after this, let's just talk about some of these players. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded. PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw for 1 yard to win. Pair that with 1 or more correct pick, and you're cashing out. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, we got 62 people watching. We got 23 likes. Let's get those likes up. Come on, the vibes are great today. We got to feel good. This is how you want to enjoy the weekend, right? Tough loss against Rutgers. A game that left a bad taste in all of our mouths. But you know what? The way they just took care of business against Minnesota, how long have we begged for that, right? Just we're tired, and me included. Minnesota's a team that we should have beaten soundly. But there's a lot of teams we should have beaten soundly, and we just haven't. So to have Illinois just go in and kick their butts, that was such a great feeling. I want to know your guys' player of the games today, because I think it's pretty obvious who it is. I'll just say it's Will Riley, right? I don't need to ask you guys. I don't think this is really up for debate. You could give it to Kasparis just for his bounce back game, but this was clearly Will Riley's best game of the season. And you can see his teammates, the coaching staff, the entire bench was just enjoying Will basically just having a heat check game, in particular in that second half where he scored like 10 of 12 points. He finishes the game 11 for 17 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point land, and 3 of 3 from free throws. Again, 27, 9, and 7 in 30 minutes. Just a glimpse. I'm telling you, this kid never... he just kept going at it, kept working in practice. And, it may have taken longer than a lot of us would have preferred. We may have preferred to see this version of Will Riley in early January. But you know what? I'll take it in early February as opposed to not at all. And again, if this ultimately means it moves on next year, so be it. This kind of development of such a top-rated prospect is good for the other top prospects, the Costanzas that are interested in coming to Illinois, who have been told in the recruiting process that, hey, we're going to play you the way we're currently playing Will Riley. They're watching this development. And if we develop Will into that first-round talent that he was touted to be, it's just good news for everybody. And again, is this early? Sure. I want to give another shout out to one more guy, though, who I don't know if the chat's talked about yet. By the way, let me know in the chat. I'll get to it in the next segment. But I wanted to give him a spotlight because I said in the pregame, the one guy on Minnesota who can really hurt you is Dawson Garcia, who, by the way, has got to be in his 9th year in college basketball now. I feel like I've been hearing that name since I was in college. Dawson had 12 points, 6 rebounds on 4 of 14 shooting in 37 minutes today. And you know who was guarding him most of that game? Let's give him his flowers. It was Ben Hummerkaus. Ben did a wonderful job today of just frustrating Dawson Garcia to the point where Dawson, he was 1 for 5 from three-point land. He just never got comfortable. Look, Ben is the target of a lot of us, and most of it is justifiable when it comes to his lack of defensive, it's in particular the one-on-one skills that he lacks. But today he got the job done. The entire team played their roles perfectly. And keep in mind, this was with 7 players. Trey White technically played, maybe 2 minutes. I think he got 2 fouls in 2 minutes. But you can tell he was still sick. He missed the Rutgers game entirely from the flu. He was active today. But that was just a technicality. He only was brought in to essentially burn some minutes because there was foul trouble. Dre Gibbs-Longhorn, another guy who I didn't think would play today, he ended up coming in. And again, let's just be honest, he wasn't very productive in the time that he was playing, but he gutted it out. So really, Illinois had this 21-point victory on the road playing 7 guys. Kasparis, 36 minutes. Tommy, 33. Ben, 32. Boswell, 28. Morez Johnson, only 15 because he got into foul trouble again. Tell me if you've heard that before. Will Riley, 13. And Jake Davis, 16. I mean, again, if you think about Morez, his foul trouble, if he only played 15 minutes, again, this is all CBS Sports, so this might be updated. I apologize. I go live immediately afterwards, so I don't see the technical official box score. Then that's 6 guys. 6 guys played at least 28 minutes. And I know they're young, but still, that's a toll. And who had a bad game today? KJ's box score doesn't look all that great. And again, I don't think I've ever seen a player who was so skillful at getting to the rim, but not being able to make it. Because he's got that big body and he can boss other smaller guards and get to the rim. But for some reason, every time I look, I feel like he's shooting 50% at the rim. But really, overall, I mean, again, 4 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. But I don't usually there's a couple plays every single game where I just, shake my head and like, Kylan, why did you do that? You're supposed to be the veteran on this team. What was that for? Today, I don't recall any of those moments. Morez struggled a bit. Maybe Morez is the answer here of a guy who struggled. 4 points, 3 rebounds. He had some chances early, couldn't connect. He still struggles basically when he has to make a move. If Illinois can set him up, of course, if he grabs the offensive rebound, he's going to score almost each and every time. But if he has to bring the ball down, if he has to make a couple dribbles, he has to develop that part of his game a little bit more. But that's okay. Someone tweeted this out earlier, and they were right on when they said this. I don't know if there's another freshman in the entire Big Ten that I'm looking forward to seeing more than Morez Johnson next year. We are so lucky that he's not 6'10", 6'11", because that'd be 3 guys talked about being in the first round of the NBA draft next year. Morez is just the thing is with him is we know he's going to hit his ceiling because he works his butt off. And again, starting Tommy, starting Morez together, it makes it really, really tough on any team. And I didn't think that they would start them together. I knew this was our death lineup. I thought they would end the game this way. Brad's just going all out. And it's working. Hopefully. We'll see. Again, it's just Minnesota, but you know what? Next week, that schedule gets a lot tougher. Let's get to your comments right after this. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of the Super Bowl 59. All right, if you haven't already, we got 33 likes and we got 74 people watching. All right, appreciate all of you. All right, let's go. Justin starts it off. Much better. Personally, I like the monster stretch we had the rest of the regular season. Much better game plan and execution. I hope everything continues to gel. See, Justin, I mentioned this in my response to you. The thing about this, guys, is I know most of you, if not all 68 of you, are Illini fans, right? So this is our trust tree circle time, right? Everyone at this point has counted the Illini out, including a pretty decent percentage of the Illini fan base. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the comment section of all my videos this past week. A lot of people are just saying, hey, this team isn't the team that we thought that they were going to be. They've essentially been written off. I've been more silent on that. Have I readjusted my expectations for the year? Sure. Do I think this is a Final Four team? Probably not. But is this a team that with a decent first weekend matchup can make it to the second weekend? Sweet 16? Yeah. And let's be honest. I mean, considering the circumstances, 10 new guys, all your best players are freshmen. Kasparis, Will Riley, Tommy Ivisic. Okay, I know technically Ivisic isn't a freshman, but we know it's his first year playing. They're all freshmen. I think if you had told Illini fans at the beginning of the year that, hey, this team here is going to make a Sweet 16, a lot of us would have taken it. And I'm not saying this team is, but you see the potential, especially how many teams can match talent for talent with Illinois throwing KJ, Will, and Tommy out there. Tommy with a bad ankle, by the way. Walking double-double. Oh, and an emerging Morez Johnson. So it's just one of those where at 15-8, I believe our record is, maybe 16-8 now. A lot of the country has written us off. We're not going to be getting the national attention that we did earlier on in the year. But that's okay. Let the team figure themselves out now. Let Will gel into the player that we feel like he's destined to become. KJ, hopefully this freshman wall is done and over with. And can somebody do something about this flu epidemic that's going on? This entire team has been very sick over the last couple of weeks. We're running out of players at this point. So, I mean, they've all gotten sick. So at that point, hopefully this flu bug will be done and over with for the next couple of weeks. We've got some tough matchups coming up. We got UCLA. We got Michigan State. We got Michigan. And quite honestly, you want this version of the Illini against those three teams. Sure, it's tough losing the games that we lost. But again, I've said this before. I think Illinois can beat anybody in this Big Ten Conference, including Purdue, who looks like they're about to run away with the conference yet again. And I feel sick saying that. But it's going to happen if this team plays like the way they did today. Continue to gel. They haven't given up on each other. And we've seen now that Brad is willing to make the adjustments. Yeah, is it too late? Sure. But he makes them, right? And technically, big picture-wise, it's not too late. Have we given up maybe a couple extra losses that we didn't need to have? Maybe. But as long as he figures it out, we want him to figure it out in early February, late January. We don't want him to figure it out in mid-March with a first-round exit. Mike says, I enjoy winning. Mike, I agree with you. TM says, this was the game I expected the Illini to win. Can they do this against better competition? I'm not so sure. I mean, I think they can. I mean, if Kasparis played like this against Rutgers, I think Illinois wins that game. If Tommy doesn't leave Rutgers with a swollen ankle, I think Illinois wins that game. Today, you kind of caught a glimpse of what Illinois looks like when their best players are healthy. And not even that. They play with 6 guys today. That's without a healthy Trey White, without a Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn. I'm telling you guys, it's not time to give up on this team. I know it's Minnesota, and I know there's probably going to be people in the chat afterwards or the comments after watching this saying it's just Minnesota. Don't get too excited. I'm going to get excited because it's the post-game show and it's my show, and I get 24 hours to convince myself that we're turning things around. These days says they're back moving the ball with hustle in the defense that has been missing lately. Took it inside and saved the threes for when it was a good shot. Exactly. As I said in the beginning of the show, 16 3-pointers today, the lowest amount they've shot all season long. And coincidentally, maybe the highest percentage they've shot all season long. Oh, and by the way, they scored 95 points It's not like they didn't shoot 3-pointers, and so they only settled for a 68-point turnout. No, they still got to 95. And that's just because they took good shots. They cut to the basket. They took easy shots. Oh, and you have two of the most talented freshmen in the entire country, by the way. We'll get to more of your comments right after this. Mike says KJ played good game. Still think he's going to leave after this, and I say good for you. Again, leaving is good. That's fine. We have no reason to be upset with the guy leaving because he's too talented and going to the NBA. Because you know what? I know not all of us are NBA fans, but you know what? That's what recruits want. Recruits want to go to a program that's going to get them ready for the next level. And if all of a sudden, if Illinois is able to develop two guys into, maybe one top 10 pick and one top 20, top 25 pick, that's a good thing for Brad Underwood and the future generations of this basketball team. Jason says, been logged in with a different account. This is my primary account. Just got another subscription, Sonny. Great win today. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you're watching this for the first time, make sure you're subscribed too. We're so close to 2,100 subs. My goal is to hit that by the end of February. So if you're not subscribed, it costs you guys absolutely nothing. It helps this channel grow so much. Jason says, this looked like the team that spanked Oregon. I completely agree. He also says, Will Riley went crazy, and that was wonderful. Philip, friend of the show, friend of the Discord. By the way, the link in the description says everything is starting to come together. Terry says, Will Riley definitely played like a lottery pick. I don't care what nobody says. Nobody wants to see us in the NCAA tournament. We know that, Terry. We know that. I think the outside fan bases are getting tired of hearing it, but the outside fan bases didn't watch this game today. But again, when Kasparis plays like this, if Will Riley continues to play like this, Tommy Visic, Morez Johnson Jr., there's very few teams in the country that can go toe-to-toe talent-wise with this team. Are you going to get hit by the injury bug or the flu bug or this or that? Hopefully not. Hopefully, I don't know if anyone has dealt with the circumstances Illinois has had this year so far, at least this far into the season. I said this in the Discord. Imagine Purdue playing without either Braden Smith or TKR for 6 of their Big Ten games this year. Or imagine Michigan playing without either Golden or Wolf for 6 games this year. Do you think they'd be at the record that they are currently right now? I don't think so. But it sounds like excuses. It is excuses in some sort of way, but it's true. You can make excuses, but still have it be true. Do I wish they had won those games? Sure. Caesarina says, they limited the turnovers and early fouls, and it paid off big. Riley gets more confident every game. How about Trey's game? Ouch. Well, I'll start off with Trey. I think Trey is just still sick, but you did bring up a really good other point. Illinois today had 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers the entire game. And you know what? Tommy had 4 of them. Your center had 4 of those turnovers. That means Kasparis had 1, and Dre Gibbs Lawhorn had 1. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn shouldn't have been in the game. Dre is sick. Dre's got the flu. So he was at maybe 60%. And he got a turnover. This team took care of the ball today. And when you take care of the ball and you make good and easy shots, you win by 21 points on the road in the Big Ten Conference. Ross says, okay, it's intoxicating when Will Riley and KJ are both playing their games. Then add on all the other guys with the potential to go off. Insane. That's why at this team has been touted this way. Exactly. Jason says, Ben had a great game too. Those threes, that block, saved the ref from falling off the court. Great game, Ben. You're absolutely right. Lee, nice to see you. Defense clamped down the perimeter after Gophers hit those early threes, and Minnesota doesn't have the time to score, size to score in the paint. Played smart against the smaller teams. Great hustle and defense, not to mention the shooting. We will have to do it again and then some on Tuesday. But what's nice is with this daunting schedule coming up, to get this win out of the way, right? If this was just another close win, I feel like the team might be a little bit more on edge, playing a little bit more nervous. And guys, this UCLA team is very good. Kent, casual Big Ten friend of the show, had UCLA, I believe, winning the conference coming into this year. And I was ribbing him a little bit when UCLA had those early season struggles, but he may have had the last laugh. They've really turned things around. Mick Cronin's a really good coach. And of course, it's going to be the Sky Clark game. Now we'll see what kind of crowd reaction he gets. But it's all the Kofi Coburn game, where we get to honor, not retire, his jersey. But it's going to be a very tough schedule, part of the schedule. And I'm glad Illinois was able to take care of business today, because it maybe could serve as a gentle reminder of just how good this team can be. Philip says, winning the Big Ten is basically out of reach, so I desperately want the Madison Square Garden win against Duke. Ross says, you notice how much better the three-point percentage increases when the assist is coming from inside, much better from inside the paint. Yeah, it's just one of those where just shoot it if it's open, but don't keep looking for threes, right? It's kind of that simple. That's all we want. We don't mind if you shoot three-pointers, but just make it good three-pointers. Illinois' offense was kind of based on, hey, let's inbound the ball and find a three-pointer to shoot, a three-point shot to shoot. I don't think that should be the goal of your offensive play sets. If the three-pointer is available, take it. But don't game plan around only taking three-point shots, because if they don't fall, you lose to teams you should not lose to. Jason says, let's win the Big Ten tournament. That really indicates the hottest team. Jason, I'll be honest. I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid of this Illinois team. I think this Illinois team can make it to the Sweet 16. Maybe beyond that, it's kind of a stretch. I'm going to need to see a little bit more consistency, especially in the next couple games, before I say that. But I'll be honest with you guys, because I'm always honest with you guys. I don't know if I have much faith in this team winning the Big Ten tournament. Just because of where we are in the standings, that means we might have to play 4 straight days. And I don't know. And you tell me if you guys disagree. I don't know if this team can stay this consistent on 4 consecutive days and win that Big Ten tournament. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this team catches fire. But I think this team might be better suited for, playing 2 games in a weekend, a Thursday, Saturday, or a Friday, Sunday come NCAA tournament, and then we get another week off. I think that might just suit this team a little bit better. Joe says, KJ played like the lottery pick he is. I know. You're exactly right. Joe, I know a lot of people have been hating on KJ lately and said, he's not a lottery pick. He won't be drafted by the NBA. Guys, I mean this respectfully. It's that silly. KJ, right now, if he never played another game, if he said this was his swan song, 24, 4-4 in 36 minutes, he would be a top 10 pick lock. I think he'd be higher, but very minimum, he would be a top 10 pick. Jason says, I honestly had no idea Will was this good until tonight. Jason, Will is really, I'm telling you, when I say he's one of the best handful of scorers in the country, he is when it comes to pure skill. I didn't know he had the all-around game he has. But you know what? Some of you, Brad Underwood haters, I'm looking at you. This is what we call development. This is what you want a kid like Will Riley, basically just get better. And again, he's been given the responsibility of being the primary point guard on that second team. And you saw a glimpse that what that confidence has built to. 7 assists today, 0 turnovers. Again, Kasparis, Will Riley, 66 minutes combined today, 1 turnover between the two. Your 2 primary ball handlers had 1 turnover today. Will Riley, he's got that ceiling, guys. Lee says, and Kylan didn't attempt any unnecessary step back NBA threes early in the shot clock. Exactly right. Phil says, we almost ended up with AJ Storr instead of KJ or Will, or both bullet dodged. Yeah, yikes. And says, Trey is sick. This team has been either hurt or sick for the last several weeks. They seem to be getting healthy, and I imagine they will all play better. And, I mean, you kind of just said what I was saying a couple minutes ago. I'm assuming mostly only Illinois people are watching the show, okay? So this is just me talking to you guys one-to-one. This team has dealt with a lot. Again, whether it's flu bug or this guy getting hurt or this guy getting hurt, we really haven't seen this full team together in a while, it seems like. Most of January. But is the Big Ten Conference, winning the Big Ten Conference out of the picture? Sure. But what's the goal? What do we want to do? We want to have success in March. And if this team now, without the spotlight, without everyone talking about Illinois, is Illinois a Final Four team? Illinois is in the Tier 2 right under Auburn and Tennessee. Because again, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of expectations for such a young team. Now that the spotlight is gone, now that hopefully, knock on wood, whatever hopefully the flu bug is gone. Hopefully, like all these weird little circumstances that just seem to be happening to Illinois is done and over with. And Illinois as a team, will have gone through this adversity together. And if things clean up for the rest of the season, I'm just going to say it. It's the post game. It's my show. I get 24 hours to say whatever I want. I'm starting to believe again. Ross says the team just showed so much better discipline tonight. Kudos to Underwood here, guys. He hammers on all the right things. Owen asks, why isn't Riley starting? Owen, well, if you watched my show yesterday, I said the same thing. I think it's time to put Will in that starting lineup now because he deserves it. And this game obviously did not change my mind in any sort of way. But technically, he may not be starting, but he still played 30 minutes. So it's not like, he is still playing starters minutes. So we'll see. Again, this is what I was alluding to in my episode earlier this week. When you have this sort of KJ and this sort of Will Riley, maybe this rocky journey that we've all been on is going to ultimately be worth it. All season long, we've been waiting to see who the Robin was to KJ's Batman, who the Marcus Damask was going to be to Terrence Shannon Jr. It looks like Will Riley is growing to become exactly that player. St. Dominic's Rosary says, we won against Minnesota. This is the equivalent of Ohio State saying we won a game against Illinois pre-bet. I knew he would say that, St. Dominic's, and I did allude to that before. No problem. Philip says, Illinois number 328 in Ken Palm luck, lowest in the Big Ten. Geez, is that right? That's a stat I didn't even know. Wow. Okay. Ducky says, Ducky, I think that's a new name. Thank you for joining us. When they attack the rim, pass the ball, they're a completely different team than when they chuck up 43s. Exactly. Again, I'll say it again. Don't just build an offense to shoot threes. Shoot threes if you're open, but just play good offensive basketball. All right, guys, we're almost at 40 minutes, so I'm going to have to let you guys go. Please hit that like button on your way up, please. I would sincerely appreciate that. We're up to 43. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Again, on my journey to 2,100 subs, let me know who you guys think are going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday. FanDuel, I've already bet Philadelphia Eagles and over 29.5 rushing yards for Pat Mahomes. I appreciate all of you joining me. I'll see if I can come up with another content idea. Please, guys, Locked On Illini, all your social medias, reach out to me. If there's something you guys want to see, I respond back almost immediately to each and every. I have maybe a half dozen discussions going on Instagram, on Twitter. You guys are messaging me all the time, and I know I don't want any of you to be shy. This is my show, but I'm just a dude. Right? I'm just a dude who got very fortunate to have this job covering the team I love. And so if there's a certain type of content you guys want to see, let me know. I'm going to produce it for you. Just know I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you next time. I love you guys.